Ray Kroc was not the founder of McDonald's, but he was the guy that took McDonald's to a whole new level. Of course, McDonald's founded by the McDonald brothers out in California, and Ray Kroc came along as a multi-mixer salesman, saw their operation, thought it was incredible, thought it was just niche enough that all of America would fall in love with it. He saw the bigger picture that the McDonald brothers did not see. He bought a franchise, he became in charge of the franchise, and then, of course, eventually, bought the McDonald brothers out. And Ray Kroc had some interesting philosophies in how to run a business, and one of the things that he used to instill into his franchisees and his managers was this: if your competitor is on fire, pour gas on him. When liberals offer conservatives advice, don't take it. They're not doing that to be helpful. They're not doing that to be friendly. They're trying to, quote, pour gas on what they presume to be a fire. I said all that to say this. Isn't it amazing how the media is trying to tell conservatives and the Republicans, you need Ron DeSantis. You don't want Donald Trump to run again. In fact, America does not want Donald Trump to run again. I'm even hearing, far left liberal pundits talk about that their fear is they're seeing a rematch between Joe Biden and Donald Trump in 2024, and nobody in America wants that rematch. Now, they were conceding ground in that nobody wants Joe Biden to run again, but nobody wants Donald Trump either, especially Republicans. And let me just respond to all of that. Bullhawk. 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 I'm even listening to now some conservative commentators who I don't consider them our enemy. I don't think that they're the problem, but they've listened to some liberal spin and they're buying into it a little bit. And I even heard Mark Dice, and I like Mark Dice. I think Mark Dice puts out one of the best products here on YouTube. He's funny. He's insightful. He gets right to it. I've read his books. I like Mark Dice. That said, he said recently that Donald Trump is got just basically the gist is he's got too much baggage, and that Ron DeSantis would give us all of the Trump policies without the Trumpism. And I have to disagree. I like Ron DeSantis. I consider Ron DeSantis one of the premier governors in our country. If he could be governor of Florida forever, that would be a wonderful, wonderful thing. The reason I say that is there will be a real strategy unleashed by the Democrats moving forward to unseat Ron DeSantis, or when he no longer can run again in Florida, to flip Florida blue. It's a huge, huge problem for them, especially during the pandemic when all of the blue states were locking down and calling, Florida the hotbed of death in this country. That when the dust is all settled, Florida did better than many of the blue states with all of their severe lockdown and oppression and suppression of rights, and you had to have vax passports and vax mandates, et cetera, and Florida not only did well, people are leaving their blue states to go to Florida. Florida enjoyed unbridled freedom. People were talking about leaving their blue state, going to Florida for a week, and it's like it's normal here. It's like people are just living their lives, and that was bad for the propagandists. It was bad for them to see people living life as normal, and then realizing that maybe we're not getting the whole story on all of this, and maybe Love Potion number 9 isn't quite what we were told it was going to be, and that people can exist and thrive without it. And of course, Florida leading the country in an economic resurgence. In fact, houses, they can't build them fast enough in Florida right now, not only for the influx of new people just escaping blue states, but because of the jobs that are coming to Florida. Now, I was actually on the air live in the Orlando radio market when Ron DeSantis was running for governor. And I like Ron DeSantis. I supported Ron DeSantis. I still support Ron DeSantis. And if Donald Trump decides he doesn't want to run for the GOP nomination, fine. Ron DeSantis would be a tremendous candidate. He would certainly be better than any rhino. He would certainly be better than, any career, even conservative that's been in Washington. I lean a little bit toward, I like Rand Paul, but I don't know that Rand Paul could get things done. And that's my fear with Ron DeSantis. And so this is why I have to disagree with Mark Dice. He's saying that basically what we're getting is Donald Trump without all the Donald Trump baggage if we go with DeSantis. And he would appeal to moderates and he would appeal blah, 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 blah. You know the spiel. The issue is this, though, and Mark, you need to think through history. Everything that the media and even the rhinos say about Donald Trump, they said about Ronald Reagan. Shoot, they even said it about George W. Bush. George Bush, the war criminal. They said it about him. The media is going to attack anyone that wears that conservative label. He's going to be homophobic. He's going to be a sexist. He's going to be a racist, and fill in the blank. And they are going to go hot and heavy. So don't think that Ron DeSantis runs, that it's a slam dunk deal, and that all of a sudden, people will just debate the issues with him. He doesn't bring the same kind of personal attacks that a Donald Trump would. Yeah, he will. Yeah, he will. Yeah, he will. And when the liberals are saying, well, we could tolerate a Ron DeSantis, again, that's because they think he's beatable. And why do they think he's beatable? Because they understand, liberals are very good at this, they understand their opponent's weaknesses better than we understand our weaknesses. And here's where Ron DeSantis would be weak. And I need you to hear me out on this. Again, I lived in Florida 9 years. On the air, AM 840, WPGS, the Orlando Daytona Beach radio markets. I was actually live on the air, my program, pre-taped, but I'm still on in the Orlando Daytona market, but I was on the air when Ron DeSantis was running. And I can tell you that Ron DeSantis is a strong governor. He is a man of character. He's a man of principle. Look at how he is. He reopened the state. But remember now, he was starting to fall in line with the other governors too. There's a lot of peer pressure during that pandemic, during lockdowns and shutdowns. And even in Florida, at first, churches were to close. The big box stores could stay open. The liquor store could stay open. Shoot, the gentleman's club could stay open, but the church was not considered essential. And it took one charismatic pastor who I do not agree with theologically, but Rodney Howard-Browne said, we ain't closing. And his attendances didn't dip. He was running 5,000 people. He got arrested. It made the national news. And some people around Governor DeSantis said, Mr. Governor, this is not a good look. This is not a good look that we are closing churches, but Walmart gets to be open. It's not a good look that you're closing churches and you're figuring out a way to let the theme parks in Orlando reopen safely. This is, and that was kind of the wake-up call for Ron DeSantis, and he took the shackles off the churches. And then he reopened his beaches because even they were closed, just like California. And he reopened his beaches. And then he let the amusement parks reopen. although I can't imagine wearing a mask on a roller coaster. That's a personal thing, but you got to do what you got to do to be safe. And that's what I have to say, make YouTube happy. Now, that all said, my point is this. Ron DeSantis has stood firm in Florida because he has strong people around him. Now let that sink in for a minute. He has strong people around him. He has strong conservative Republicans in his state legislative body. He has strong core conservatives around him, his inner circle, and those that even serve at local levels of their local municipalities. You know, the sheriffs and the mayors throughout the state of Florida are overwhelmingly conservative. So he's got a strong core around him. He wouldn't have that in Washington, D.C. And my fear is they could subvert and subjugate the Ron DeSantis agenda and replace it with the Rhino agenda. Replace it with the status quo agenda. Replace it with replace it with the we've got to do this, we've got to make this happen agenda, so you've got a compromise agenda. He doesn't have the same backbone that a Donald Trump does to push back even within the own party ranks. And I'm a person that I do believe in fairness, and I don't mean equalizing and making things fair where we automatically make it unfair for one group so that it's fair for this group over here. But I'm about fairness in this way. I think everybody should get the same place to start, and then they need to be given an opportunity to show us what they can do. So, in other words, if you're going to hire somebody to do a job, you got to give them some time to grow into that job and let them get it done. Donald Trump was never afforded that opportunity. He was never afforded that opportunity. And because he was never afforded that opportunity, his entire agenda, right from the beginning, he had to deal with Russian collusion, and not just from the liberals, and not just from the media, but from the rhinos, from the moderate Republicans. It's sad. It's sad. It's sad. And so think about what he did get done. Can you imagine if he gets reelected? If he runs again for 2024 and he gets reelected, can you imagine at this point the vast majority of the party would have to say, okay, this is the guy the people want. Let's help him get it done. His own Congress wouldn't give him the funding for the border wall. He got stalled on every level. I want to see what Donald Trump can actually do. And Donald Trump had the ability to stand up against his own party, to push back. And I'm telling you, Ron DeSantis is strong in Florida because he's got strong allies. You got a swamp in D.C. And I don't know that he has what it takes to stop the swamp.